Okay, welcome to another episode of Building Better Business. I'm Paula Fleming. I am actually hosting this, and I'm excited to have with me Michelle DeFosses from RJD Construction. She is a consultant and is going to educate us a little bit about the business, about her role within the company, and what led her to it. Welcome.
Thank you. Nice to be here. Thank you, Paula.
Yes. So it's a little bit different, this conversation, because you're a consultant. So I would imagine you have several different businesses that you work with. Tell me a little bit about what brought you to RJD Construction and why you're so passionate about working with them.
Well, thank you. RJD Construction is a small construction company that has expanded over the years. My role here is to be able to serve as a liaison between the contractor and the community, and to help ensure that safety mechanisms are in place, and also to be able to educate the public on the services that RJD Construction offers. The business started roughly back in the early 80s, I'd say about 1982, between 82 and 84, when the contractor, his name Roy, actually had the business come off the ground, starting with smaller projects such as carpentry, designing bed frames, things of that sort. And his passion and his love was more into construction. So he branched out a little further, transitioning from New Hampshire, coming down to Massachusetts and expanding his customer database, and including other projects that involve more residential work, and eventually getting into commercial work as well. Building homes, remodeling kitchens, doing bathrooms, designing layouts for custom homes themselves, and also working on flooring and fencing projects. So he kind of does everything in the pot, and works along with some other subcontractors that are fantastic in the trade to do other projects in conjunction or concomitant with his particular work, roofing as an example. So the business has been off the ground now for over 30 years and going pretty strong. And again, my role here is to be able to serve as the consultant and see the waters and make sure that everything is complying with safety issues, and also connecting the public to, or the community to, the service itself.
And that's such an important role, because a lot of these smaller businesses, even up to mid-sized businesses, aren't following the proper protocols. They aren't even properly licensed or insured. And the general public, and sometimes even business owners, don't realize that those are steps that they have to take in the state. What can you tell me in regards to being the liaison, or some of the questions that you're getting from consumers, from your potential homeowners or business owners that are hiring you all? What are some common questions right now, especially during COVID days, right? What was transpiring 2 years ago must look completely different for you. So that's a loaded question, if you don't mind.
Absolutely. And you're right. Things have transitioned quite a bit from a number of years ago. Previously, most customers were interested in how long have you been in business? What type of services do you do? What are you able to do in terms of estimating, and how soon will the job be done? Today, the landscape has changed quite a bit. So as you know, compliance with CDC guidelines and Department of Public Health guidelines, and also town guidelines, become paramount, even more so in today's world. So the customer questions are, how safe are you? Are you practicing social distancing? Are you in a community that is observing what the guidelines are, federal, state, and local guidelines? And what do your guys do, and what does the contractor do to ensure that my home is going to be as safe as possible? So it's very interesting. It's nice to see, from my standpoint, to see how consumers are very actively interested in securing and making sure their homes are as safe as possible while having work done. And it's my pleasure to be able to explain what we do at RJD Construction to ensure the safety mechanisms are in place. And our website is abundant with resources for consumers to be able to know how safe they are when they welcome us into their home.
And can you tell me that website?
Sure. It's rjdconstruction.org. and that's in the state of Massachusetts. There's another RJD Construction that's out of state, but it's actually located in Franklin, Mass. Correct.
Oh, okay. Great, great. And I'm curious to know, and maybe you don't know the answer, but I'm hoping you do. At what point should or did the owners of RJD Construction, what point did they call you in and say, hey, we need a consultant? And could you speak to it, for taking it a step further, if there are people out there that are watching this and they're business owners and they say, well, I thought that I could do everything, the billing, what you're doing with it, being in the community. I thought I could be actually on the construction site, but it's really impossible, especially as people grow, to be everything for your business. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure, I'd be happy to. Well, I kind of have an inner circle here. So I met the contractor a number of years ago, and we actually were married. We became married. So we work as a team in that regard. And this field of safety and compliance actually is right up my avenue anyway, in terms of what I do for work for other businesses as well. So having that connection there pre-existing really helped to be able to market his business as well, and to be able to know that from the ground to today, we are complying with rules and regulations and having that seamless process there. So I have to say there was a little bit of a benefit to a win-win for both of us to be able to have that in place already.
Okay, good. And when you think about the business and where it is today, where do you hope to be in another, 2 years? Is that something you guys are looking at, or are you just trying to deal day to day with the business and making sure that the wheels are still turning in this difficult time?
Good question. I'd have to say that honestly, dealing with what we're going through, the pandemic globally, has been a focus of ours. So right now we're keeping our heads above water, honestly, and being able to realistically just kind of have a vision where we are keeping our customers safe, keeping the work going, and also being able to focus on what we need to do to stay compliant with rules and regulations and FDC guidelines, which sometimes are changing more rapidly than we're able to keep up, but we do our best. So long term, I'd have to say it's just to keep focus on what we have and keeping our customer database and making sure our customers and our subs are as safe as possible.
Good. I like that. That's great. Can you tell me a little bit about the customers you have? Is there a threshold in which you just say that job is too small? I have always wondered this for home improvement contractors, for construction, for all of these different. Is there ever a time that it's like, oh, that's more of a handyman job than a actual will do it job? And if so, what is that, and how do you determine that?
That's a great question. So our outline in the beginning was no job is too small. So that was kind of the tagline that we use. And we've kind of kept that mentality. So we don't like to turn any customer away. However, we do have to try and keep a balance with the larger projects that do come in. So if we know it is something that's, we're on a project that's going to be several months at a time out, then we don't make promises that we can't keep. And we like to be able to keep true to what we can do. So the contractor likes to keep his hand on pretty much the business itself and make sure it's flowing properly. And if it is something that's entirely too small, then we try to schedule out at a more appropriate time where he can get to that particular job. We don't turn anyone away, but we always try to accommodate and to be true as possible to the promises that we make. That's great.
And another follow-up question is, do you actively, especially for commercial, probably less for residential, but do you actively go after jobs, or do you find that most of your business is from inbound, from word of mouth, or from Better Business Bureau, from wherever it may be? Or are you trying to constantly try and get new business? How does that work right now for you all?
Well, COVID changed the landscape for all of us. themselves. So fortunately for us, most of the business has been word of mouth for over 30 years, and we've had a very good retention of our customers where they come back and it's revolving. So with that being said, although it is revolving, as you know now, the precautions have to be in place. So most people are a little bit have a little trepidation about inviting people into their home. Our security blanket is knowing that customer database, them knowing the company itself, and being able to have us come back in again and again. So the sources that we continually tap in and make sure is compliance, as I said, making sure our customers are happy and safe, and word of mouth seems to be the best form of advertising, and of course the Better Business Bureau as well.
Thank you. So, we keep talking about making sure customers are safe. And you know what I just thought about, and especially I'm sure you think about, because as you said, it's a husband-wife team, right? What about the safety of the employees? Is that something that you guys have, how have you dealt with that during this time? Making sure that you're safe, as well as, you put so much on making sure that the people feel safe that you're working for, but what about your employees and you yourself? How do you handle that?
Well, that is an outstanding question. And when you go to our website, again, rjdconstruction.org, we've established a COVID-19 safety page. So I encourage all employers, as well as customers and subcontractors, to be able to go to that particular page on our website. There we've posted many resources for all three circles, as I mentioned, to be able to know what to do. We follow the CDC guidelines religiously, as well as DPS guidelines and local guidelines. So for our subs, we require that they definitely wear masks and gloves, social distance as able to do so. And we also are big proponents, and we also follow the Biden administration guidelines, the governmental guidelines. We have those posted on the website as well for referencing and also for comprehension, so that individuals, everyone, can really know what they need to do to be as safe and as secure as possible. And in that way, we keep our subs safe. We also carry hand sanitizer. We have masks, extra masks. We have gloves. We also do thermal checks, which not all businesses are doing, but we highly recommend that be done to make sure everyone is as healthy as possible. That's great.
And I'm sure everyone appreciates that. And I think it's something that we don't talk about enough, to be honest, because everyone's so concerned, from construction, because a lot of people are doing construction on their homes because we're all working out of our homes right now. If you decide to go to a restaurant, they're putting so much pressure on, will I be safe? But what do you think about the people that are waiting on you, and the stress they must be under? So I think it's something that is important to touch upon, and I appreciate you doing that. Is there anything that we haven't hit upon that you would like to chat about today?
I think just the awareness that's readily there for people to know. Most businesses are really complying with regulations. They're working hard to do that. There are some that are not. So for customers to feel as safe as possible, we encourage all customers to review the reviews that come in from companies, to look closely in decision making and seeing what services you want to allow into your home, and then also to really think about the projects in advance, so that it makes it as easy as possible for team members to be able to do the job that you're looking to do. And again, safety being number one. So make sure the businesses that you're looking at, they are really adhering to those guidelines that are out there. They are for our protection. It is a challenge to comply, but it is something that everyone can do.
Thank you. Thank you. And again, people can check you guys out and all the information we chatted about at rjdconstruction.org, correct?
That is correct. Thank you.
And based out of Franklin, Massachusetts. And you do outside of Massachusetts, or do you keep it close to home?
We do keep it close to home. So most of the time it is Massachusetts, smaller jobs, perhaps in New Hampshire, but in Mass for the most part, Boston as well, of course.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. Well, I appreciate your time. And can people check you out on social media as well, or is it simply rjdconstruction.org?
RJDconstruction.org, but also too, we have Google reviews. We also have Yelp as well, and of course the Better Business Bureau.
Wonderful. Thank you. And those are so important to any size business. So if you have positive, and I encourage the positive because people don't share it enough. They're so quick to vent online and not as quick to share the positive experiences. So I'm sure your husband and any small business owner or mid-sized business owner appreciates it. So I always encourage that at all times too. Well, thank you so much. And I am going to stop recording now.